welcome all to the Cavago Social. We have gathered you here because we're really curious to hear you're all incredibly accomplished athletes. Really, we're in awe with your accomplishments, and we're really interested, since this session is about the love of horses and how we can better connect with our horses and how we can ask them to do better without force. We're really curious to hear across your disciplines how you're doing this. So we have here Rebecca, who is one of the top female polo players in the world. We have Pedro Torres, who was first a dressage rider and now has completely exploded in working equitation. I think you won absolutely everything there is to win in working equitation, Pedro. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, actually, I have a super horse, and well, 15 years of my career, I think I win 85% of the competitions.
Oh my God!
Especially because this horse, he was really, really incredible.
Yeah.
In working equitation, I have two super horses. I have the first horse. I compete in 2000. It was my first year I started in this discipline. And also my horses, they are the first year they compete. And the guy to select the team invite me to make part of the trainings with that horse. He's 6 years old. And well, in the beginning, there are 15 riders to select 6. And they put me in the team. After 15 days of training, they put me in the team. Imagine, I was in the first level. And the first level, you ride your horse with both hands. And well, I have to adapt a little bit to the horse for one hand. And after the qualification, I was on the team. And with 6 years old, imagine, the horse is the first year compete and he go directly to the Europeans. And he was super. And he wins the European in that year. That
was Oxidado.
No, that was other horse. He was my first horse in working equitation. I started in 2000. I started with 2 horses. It was this one, is the name Navarro, 6 years old, both Lusitanos, and Oxidado with 5 years old. In the 2000, I made it a European Championship and National Championship with Navarro. And with the 2001, I started with Oxidado. And since then, well, I finished in 2011 with Oxidado. And well, it's almost 10 years competing in a really, really nice
being at an incredible level, right? Yeah. And Luca, you too. I mean, you've been multiple times a member of the Italian team in show jumping. You've been in the Nation Cups, in the World Cup, in the European. I mean, you have more wins and ribbons and plaques than one can count. But you're also incredibly interested in natural horsemanship, and you have some I found quite revolutionary things to say, actually, about how to about how you can ask nicely. You can ask your horses nicely to give the best of you and make them enjoy the competition and make them be there for you, or even for themselves almost, right, when it counts for the competition.
Actually, I was very lucky because I'm not such a talent rider, and I couldn't really reach the highest level because I'm not good enough in that. And then I realized that if I try to make
Rebecca.
the horse more like a partner, become easier for me, and that's why I start to do horsemanship, and I start to try to find a strategy to get involved in the mind of the horses and the heart of the horses to make them partner and make the job for me.
Oh wow! So you actually credit the bond, right? for making you win like entirely. So you said you weren't that good, and then you started talking to them and connecting.
It's true. Actually, I start to become more involved in this kind of idea because I couldn't ride good enough. That's why I start to say, okay, I need to have a partner because I cannot do any other way, and I don't like the idea to do in a different way, and that's why I start to get the horse more, become like a partner, and to understand better the emotion of the horses and the mind of the horses to make them do the job by themselves.
Wow, that's really amazing. And so here we also have Katherine, who has been riding dressage in Europe and now in Singapore. And you've been so you have big ambitions, right? You're already an accomplished Grand Prix rider, but you want to go much further. So I think you'll have to listen and ask questions to these people here about how they got that special horse and how they're being able to connect with that special horse for incredible performance.
Yes, I'm looking forward.
So, and lastly, we have Rebecca Aldor, who is here. So, hello. Among this panel, you're probably the most multidisciplinarian. I know Pedro has been doing a lot of dressage and working equitation. Luca, have you ever ridden dressage?
I did. I tried to do kind of. Like,
and then you were too bad. So you did something.
Of course, absolutely. It is too boring for me. Too long, too slow. No, I'm joking. I love to have a better feeling with the horses, but I don't really like the competition of dressage. There are too many judge. I don't like judge opinion. Yeah. I prefer time and Paul to stay on and down.
No, I see that. Well, you guys have nothing on Rebecca in terms of being a multidisciplinarian, because she has been at the top level. Let me look down what I wrote. In 3 days eventing, in dressage, in Doma Vaquera, in Western, and in working equitation. Do I miss one?
No, I think that pretty much covers it all. Although I did do some racing as well.
Oh wow!
just
to put a cherry on top. And then you are a high top level judge in at least 2 disciplines, right? In West, right? And also now in working equitation, which is a sport that is developing greatly in North America. Which is very growing tremendously in North America, and you're one of the top judges in working equitation in North America. Am I correct?
Well, I'm very honored to get my S Judges card in America, which is the highest ranking at the moment. Fell in love with this sport first time I saw it and thought, this is exactly what I want to do. It takes everything I've been learning over the years and let me put it to use. So to me, it's the ultimate sport for any horse. To get that kind of cross-level training is only going to make your horse better and I think make people a better rider. And the horses seem to love it, which I think that's important.
Very, very, and that's what we're talking about here, right? How to make the horses actually love their job, want to be there with you, so that they can provide the best performance. So I would like to ask Luca, what he does, because I've heard some things that I thought were really interesting that you've been saying, like you don't actually really train them between competitions. You just throw them in a field a little bit. And talk to us a little bit about that.
Actually, I'm kind of out of rule. I don't really like to have a system. I don't really like to have a schedule to stuff that need to get done. I try especially to and be as much as possible involved with the motion of the horse and to understand how they feel and what they feel. And I try to help them to cool down and to release emotion and to take away stress, because I think that this is the main problem that we have in the sports. In the sports, we need to have the horse that respond fast and quick, and that's not normal for them. Normally they eat grass and they stay cool and relax. And when they get the situation that they need to react and quick and fast, they get adrenaline, they escape, they don't active in a good biomechanic way that we need for the sport. And then this is my goal principle, to understand how to help them to cool down and to get them more relaxed. And then actually what I need in the sports, in my sports, is very simple. I mean, they just look for the next fence and they just stay between my legs and my hand, and they are ready to do anything when they get relaxed and respond is nice. I mean, my sport is very simple. You just need to have horses that jump the jump. We don't do nothing really complicated.
Yeah, and trust you that there's not a tiger on the other side, and that they can do it, and that you're finding the right distance, and you really need to be working with them.
Actually, I need to tell you a true story. I was 30, I think 32, and I spent 4 years in my career in the morning riding and helping a professional rider that was a Grand Prix rider in jumping and dressage, and I was there in the morning. After 4 years, I changed my job in the afternoon, and I was too far from him. And then I say, okay, let's do a dinner together, and it was really nice. And organized a party for me. And during this party, he gave me a motorbike like a present. It was really, really cool. And then he said, look, I need to talk to you really honestly, because I love what you did for me, and I love you like a really nice person, and I think that you have an incredible passion, and I think that you need to change your dream, because actually you have not too bad feel, not too bad hands, but you are totally totally blind. You don't see any distance. You are a disaster in jumping. Quit with your goal of jumping. And then I say, okay, but this is what I like. I will reach that I reach, but I love to jump. And then I start to realize that there is another way to see distance. It's to feel the canter and to connect with the horse and to become partner. And we have very good people here that do dressage, and it's so simple to change the strides of the strides of the gallop, and then to fix the distance. It's become very easy if you have a horse that really want to respond and understand you, and it's really ready to listen just when you think. And then it's not a lot about see distance. It's more about to have the horse that love you and want to do the job for you, and they feel free to do it.
So how do you make them love you?
I don't know. I'm lucky. I'm Italian. Actually, it's easier.
Oh, that's because Italians do it better.
Spaghetti, we drink wine, with pizza. No, I think they love because
from where,
they
Luca?
feel like I care a lot. think they love to feel like for you they are special. That's what they love.
We heard that a lot today. We
Yeah,
heard that a lot today.
I'm really surrounded of special people. I'm very blessed. Thank you.
So Pedro, do you have the same feeling that how do you we heard that in every panel today in different words that horses actually do understand when you care, and that they will give you more if you do care.
Well, I think it's well. I see the competition and I feel the competition in a different way of Luca. I want my horse very ready every time he goes inside of the arena. And very ready is I try to figure out if it's me like a sportsman. If I go to do something, I have to be really ready. My breath have to be ready, my temperament have to be ready, my body have to be ready, and it's not supposed to be a force. It's supposed to be something natural, is ready and prepared to do. Normally, I don't do it strong trainings every day. It's easy trainings, but I have trainings for technique, cardio. Well, sometimes it's normal, just go hacking, don't do nothing. But when it goes like the last months to the Europeans or World Championship, I started to ride him 2 times a day. 2 times a day for what? Normally, I do one part is cardio and one part is technical. I change a little bit. If it's very fresh, I put cardio in the morning, I put technique in the afternoon. If it's not, I change a little bit. But why I do this? Because I need to spend long time with my horse, and I need, when you go to the competition, it's not supposed to be as force. It's supposed to be easy, really easy. And for Oxidado, and many people said, oh, but this is very strong for the horse. Well, I do this whole life of Oxidado. He have 25 years old now, and you see the last movie from the celebration of his 25. It's ridden maybe 1 hour and do one by one and pirouettes and everything, you know. It's not going to be so bad. But I think it's important. You analyze your horse, don't cross the limits of the body, but many times in the competition, and especially when you want to go to the high level all the time, sometimes you cross the limits of the body and you do not understand. It's the adrenaline, it's too hot, it's the ground, it's something can happen. And it's good if the body of the horse have a little bit space to handle all these things. You know, imagine one of the trainings I do it with Oxidado, close to the competitions. This is close to the finals or close to Europeans. I build all the parcours of working equitation, and this is, well, 2 barrels, the gate, the bridge, the pole in the floor, slalom in line, slalom in parallel. Well, all these things. And between all these things, I put one fence with 1 meter. And you imagine it's easy for him to do 45 minutes without stop, just playing with obstacles. It started to be in 2000, 2001. He was the horse more fast in Europeans, and 10 years he keeps the horse more fast in the world in working equitation. You imagine it's the Italians. They are the super guys. The guys, they are like rockets in working equitation. They choose from maybe 2,000 guys the best fast 4 guys. Imagine they are really, really, really fast. They have the horses there. Big cross, some they are Maremano, but some they are cross between Arab and English and, well, whatever. It's a big mix, but they are super fast. Once I was in a competition, Europeans in Sardinia, and you imagine the team, the Italian team, they are between 171 and 176, all the team. After this comes the most fastest rider is 2 minutes and 14. You imagine the distance. And after the Italian, this is the rider more fast. 2 minutes and 14 against to 1 meter and 71. Oxidado in that year, he did it minute and 70, and it take 1 second to the Italians. Imagine, it's something really incredible, but you can see the big difference between the Italians and the rest of the teams. It was huge. To pass the Italians, they are something almost impossible. And I started to understand, okay, how I can be more fast and it can be more easy for my horse if he knows really what he have to do in the test. Working equitation have lots of turns. Turns, fast, turns, fast. I don't need to brake. I need to teach my horse brake in the turns and he have to use the body to slow down. And then I have less pressure in my hands. I don't need to pull so much with my legs because immediately he's ready. And when he turns and he can breathe in the turn and don't get stressed, I can have the horse more fresh long time. Normally the speed test in work equitation don't go more than 2 minutes. Well, special for Oxidado, we never go over 2 minutes. I just need 2 minutes, fresh and relaxed. And you know, in working equitation, you have one candale, you have one hand. It's easy to start to stop too much with the hands. The horses have the mouth so hot, it's really difficult to slow down and it's very difficult to brake. What I need to do is he needs to brake for me. Then I have less impact in the mouth and also less impact in the body. He brakes half alone because I use the obstacle to turn, because he knows every time I take the line, he knows what he have to do in that line. And this helped me a lot to keep him fresh long time in the all this years he compete. And well, it was really nice the way I take him all this year. I don't do everyday strong trainings. I don't like that because you have to take care the legs. Many times I say it's the legs have some kilometers, and when they finish the kilometers, they finish, you know, and you really have to see how much you can put it all the years far away, the end really far away, for you can have a healthy horse all the time. But I need him really ready. The cardio, it's very important. He breathes the way he can breathe, the way he can understand the competition, and well, and he's a stallion. Every time he changes the stables, he was a little bit excited. He lose a little bit the energy, but well, he was ready, and he was very nice career. He did it.
So you're basically saying the same Luca's saying is you train your horse, you save your horse, and then you train your horse to do it by himself, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly, and I think I don't see the other comments of the other riders, but I think this is the key. You understand your horse, because you can have a good success long time if you don't understand your horse, if you don't feel your horse. I think this is the secret for the most part of the good riders or successful riders. Really, they feel the horse, and when you feel your horse, you really understand what kind of trainings you have to do. But also you take care of the body of the horse, because this is an athlete, and he can be a good athlete if he can do it this discipline many years, because it's not just in the first year you have to be ready. No, it's after 4 or 5 years to compete, you get a good maturity to do it a good results. I have these horses really very young. Oxidado started international with 6, and well, but it was really lucky. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be the horse to be mature around 8, 9, 10. This is where it's, well, sometimes 10, it's really good. And especially in jumping, when you go very high level, and you can make so much mistakes, because in the middle of the jumps, it's one mistake, it's quite difficult to handle. It's really important the horse have maturity to understand a little bit the speed, the balance, all that things. And but really, I have lucky. These horses understand this very fast, very young. They are really good horses. And but the connection with the rider is super important.
So that's really very interesting. And I'm curious, Rebecca Walters in polo. That's a very strong physical physical performance you're asking of your horses, also very short terms, explosive, and then you have several horses you deal with. So how do you deal with that, and how in your sports do you allow them to recuperate, to be there in the moment with you, and how do you connect with several horses that inside the same competition?
Yeah, I mean, polo, I don't know if you guys know, but we require quite a few, like you said, quite a few horses. I wish we only needed one because it would be so lovely to just have to make that connection with one horse. And I came from show jumping background. So for me, polo came quite late on in my life. I only started playing polo when I was 20 years old. So for me, kind of English disciplines like dressage and show jumping and things like that were very much part of my equitation, I guess, and my skill set. So I was lucky, and I think that that's definitely helped me improve myself as a polo player and understand the horses, because I think I look at my horses in a different way to the average polo player or person, because I used to have one horse and it was about how I could get the best out of that one, that individual. But now I have, you know, in my stable, along with mine or clients' horses, up to 8 or 9 horses at one time. So, but you're completely right. Building that connection with the horses is just as important. I just have to spread myself over 5 or 6 of them in a game. I think I'm kind of the opposite to Luca in the fact that I feel like I have to improve myself as a rider as much as possible to help the horses. I don't know if I can get the horses to do polo for me as much as they'd probably try and get the ball from one end to the other. I think it would be quite difficult without them. But yeah, I think I just really focus on keeping myself as fit and strong as possible, and the horses, so that together we can be the best we can be. Because like Pedro said, there's so many variables on the day of a game, whether that's the field could be hard or wet, how, you know, we're playing in a team of 4 people against another 4 people. So there's so many variables that you just don't have control over. So for me, having my horses as prepared as possible when I get to that field for every eventuality, so that's training them. I mean, we train them twice a day, and I take them out on they'll do like one, we call it singling session, which is probably like a training session for any of you guys, where we'll practice skills, either stick and balling, which is where we'll practice on the horse and actually mimic game action, so stopping them, turning quickly, like short bursts of short movements, and putting them under pressure, and putting, I guess, their bodies under pressure as well. And then the other exercise session in the day will be, they get taken out on set, which is where we'll take up to 5 at a time. So you'll ride 1 and lead 2 either side, and the horses will move, and that's an hour's exercise. So the same, like you said, Pedro, you're pushing those horses to be as fit as possible, so that when they get to the polo field and it's a 7-minute chukker, that horse doesn't come off having been pushed to its brink, like pushed to its, like, the extreme every single time. It comes off and goes, oh, I could do that again. And that's what I tend to, how I like to keep my horses is that they are over prepared for what I'm going to do with them for polo. So if, like happens in some games, you will have an extra chukker where you're neck and neck and the game is over and it's golden goal, and you've got to pull another horse out, and that horse has got to have that extra bit of energy to give you, and so you're not pushing it beyond its comfort zone, because that's not good for the horse. That's when injuries happen. So having their legs and their lungs and their heart and everything at its peak is so super important. But they also do get a lot of time off. They polo ponies, probably unlike other disciplines, get half of the year off. So once they finish the polo season, they just get put out in a big paddock and just go wild and feral for 6 months of the year until they get put.
Herd.
Yeah,
as a herd.
Mine are not in work at the moment. So my team, my crew are out in the fields in the Cotswolds, and they have hair this long, and they are huge at the moment. But it's amazing the transformation that they make, actually. So
very cool. Luca, you wanted to say something to that?
No, I think it's really nice for them to be all together for 6 months. They will enjoy a lot. I also try to do as much as possible with my horses between the competition. I try to let them a lot in the field.
Yeah, I mean, the way we kind of work our polo ponies, and it's a global rule. Mondays are days off, and that is when polo ponies will get put out in a field. They'll spend the whole day in the field. So Sunday night they get put out, usually naked, rugless, and they just go do their thing, and they're brought back in on a Monday evening, and you can see it in their faces, you can see it in their bodies, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm ready for the week. And they do their training through the week, because a lot of polo tournaments and games are hosted on weekends, or maybe have 1 or 2 games in the week. You build up that work. So at the weekend, it's game time. They have, 2 days of intense games, and then Sunday back out in the field again. So keeping their heads really happy is super important. When you've got to manage a herd like that in relatively small space, when you're on a yard, it's really important. And you can spot from a mile off when somebody's not happy, because when they get grumpy at each other or they get upset, if you're really in tune with your horses, you can see it from a mile off. So
super interesting. So Katherine is a dressage rider like me, and as the rest of you probably know, in dressage that really doesn't work that way. Horses are stabled really a lot of the time. And there is, I don't know how it is in Singapore, but where I am, there is this idea that horses are very expensive, and that they may injure themselves in turnout, and that you can't really turn them out together. And so I know you have this young horse that you just bought. And I'd be interested in the process that you're applying now. How long have you had them?
So I've had him for about 2 months now. So I bought him obviously during COVID. So I bought him online. The first horse I've ever bought online. I didn't even try him. So he came in from Germany, and just a real star. He's 5, amazing movement. But I think one of the reasons why he wasn't sold till now is that he's just uber sensitive. So he just doesn't accept the leg at all. He doesn't know that feeling. So he's at the moment still all over the place. So definitely will take a lot of time and patience. And he does require a lot of time on the ground as well, and really connecting with him, because he's just a very insecure horse at this point in time. So he does go out in the field. I currently have 10 horses under me. It's clients' horses. So I always feel with my own horse, I can follow certain kind of pillars and easily achieve what I want to through a connection and through that time. I find it a lot trickier with clients' horses, because obviously they also want to sit on the horse during the week, and it's to find that balance between the schooling and getting the horses tuned for them, and them also riding enough to practice. So the scheduling for that is very important, and obviously for the horses to have that downtime as well. So in Singapore, we are very limited with space, but even with that, we do tend to put the horses out in pairs. So I really believe very strongly in them having their own time, their paddock time. So my owners, if they train under me, that's one of my rules. So the horses have to go out, and they have to go out for at least 4 hours a day, and with another horse. So in the beginning, it is a little bit scary. There are horses that kind of try to see who's dominant, and they're in the field, and so we tend to be there. But after a while, they all get used to it, and we've been doing this for the last 10 years, and we try to pair the horses the best possible way, and I think it's definitely made a huge difference, especially that we don't have the space here to go hacking. We are basically arena bond year round. And we do tend to give them kind of 2 weeks holidays every 3 months. So they get the saddle break as well. Yeah, so that's how we try to manage it.
Interesting. So everybody's talking about breaks, huh? Very interesting. And then do you believe that spending more time with your horse when you're not riding, doing maybe work from the ground at liberty, or just, you know, hanging around in his stall, do you believe that this is something that can help you very much? Or do you believe that, you know, riders should be riders, and then you have grooms for the rest of the time?
No, I totally agree. And that's also, I guess, you know, a little bit of the struggle is when I ride clients' horses, they tend to see me, I would say, as the dominant or the leader, and their rider normally as second. And that can cause, when they're riding the horse, a little bit of naughtiness as well. So horses that would behave very nice on the saddle for me would have little tricks for them. And I think definitely having that bond and understanding the horse from the ground and getting that respect from the horse on the ground is even more important than trying to fix the problem on the horse. So I definitely think that that's a huge part. And we're definitely kind of working towards that on their days off. It's not just a day where they go into the paddock. It's really that connection between rider and horse on the ground.
Interesting. Very cool. I have a question from the audience for Rebecca Algar. So in North America, your mic is off, Rebecca.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that better?
Yeah, now you're there. And so in North America, we hear, oh, the Portuguese, they do working equitation so much better, and we'll never get there. But I would like to say you have Western, right? And would you please talk a little bit to how the switch from Western to working equitation goes, and how these horses, do you use different horses from sort of one discipline to the other, or can these horses go seamlessly from one discipline to the other? And do you believe that cross disciplines is super helpful for horses?
Yes. First of all, to answer your last question first, I think cross disciplines help horses as well as riders enormously, because it gives both the horse and the rider a different approach or an alternative approach when they meet a problem. In other words, you can find a solution, I think, more easily if you have more than one option. Of course, the iconic American horse is the quarter horse, and he's been bred to do cattle work. And the Western riding system is probably the closest to the Iberian classical horsemanship school, and that the horses have to be super light in the hand. They have to respond to the slightest nuance of the body. And they have to have a quick and fast reaction. I'm talking about the cattle horses. Now, I found that translates really well to the working equitation. It's simply a question of teaching the horse to carry himself a little bit differently. We like our horses to work with the heads low in the cattle events because we have a totally different type of cattle. Now, if I put my cutting horse in front of the Iberian bull, I'd be dead. Because although he's fast enough, his job is to capture the cow. So you'll see the horse is really low to the ground, balanced amazingly off their hocks, but face to face. Now, if you do that to an Iberian bull, and luckily I spent enough time in Iberia to know what they're like, then they charge you, and that can get a little exciting. So the main thing I find to change them from the Western to the traditional working equitation style, if you'd like to use that word, is to teach those horses to elevate a little more up through the shoulders and carry themselves a little differently, whilst retaining the reaction times and the subtlety of the aids and the sensitivity to the rider's movements. If you've ever watched cutting horse work, he works on a full drape of rein. So the rein's in a complete loop and you're not allowed to use your hand. And the answer to that is quite simple. If you had to cue the horse to move in front of the cow, you're already too late. You've lost control of the cow. Well, what I see, it's the same thing with the Iberian horses, whether it's Spain or Portugal. That horse has to be able to respond to an instant pressure, right, left, or in the seat bone, because if you're trying to rein the horse right or left in front of an Iberian bull out in the pasture, you're already too late. That's my way of looking at it. I do believe that a lot of the European riders generally do have an advantage simply because classical horsemanship is more of a tradition. So your children start young learning the principles of classical horsemanship. Our children here, they might ride when they're young, but they tend to be less instructed, might be a way of putting at it. It's different, but it shouldn't be any more difficult. And I mean, I got my gold medal last year on a little quarter horse cutting horse. And I started him as a cutting horse, and then he honestly wasn't quite radical enough. So I switched him to the working equitation, and he was great. But as Pedro was talking about earlier, the fastest horses are not the ones that gallop the fastest. The fastest horses are the quickest. And that means the turns, the handling or lack of handling. And I discovered that years ago, before I ever even saw a quarter horse, in the jumping, in show jumping. And I remember I had a small, 15-1, heavy cob, which if you don't know what a cob is, his description is a gentleman's heavyweight hunter. So they're stout, basically. And he would win all the jump-offs against the top. He couldn't gallop fast enough to keep himself warm, but he could stop and turn in his length. So you could jump, turn, jump the next one, turn, jump the next one, and so he'd win the speed. But it's the same thing in the working equitation. You've got to have that handiness, that quickness. Even in the dressage, you've got to have a horse that is, my way of thinking, so much more reactive, because the tradition that it stems from means your life depends on it.
Very interesting. I have a question for you all. In our audience, we have quite a few people who are rather new to riding, or people who would like to go back into riding. And I find that very often when you're a child, you have your first experiences with your horse, and all of a sudden you have these moments where you have this soul horse, this horse that's very important to you, that you know may belong to you or may not belong to you. And I think people later in life look for these sensations that you've had as a child with a horse, and then the sensation of being one, of being together with your animals. And you've all talked about that, about this feeling of being together, of minds connecting, of the horse knowing what's going on before you do, of not, of gaining time through practice. And I was wondering if you have an advice to give to people when they start writing again, or when they start writing from the beginning, about how to find the relationship, what to do to find the relationship. Maybe very practical things that people who are nowhere near your levels could do, so that they find the joy in the relationship, and so that the horse also finds the joy in the relationship. Maybe Luca?
Actually, I think that from my way of thinking with horses, principally I have 3 rules when I approach a horse. Everything I'm doing, I want to do first off from my heart. And second thing, I try to put more love into that. And then I put rule, because I think that horses are really happy when they have a clear rule about what is black, what is white. And it's not about to be like, oh, I'm nice, I'm kind, oh, I love you, and then you can do whatever. But just to tell them with the best attitude is possible, there is just black and white, and I love you and I don't judge you, but whatever you choose, there is a consequence. And then they start to realize that you care about them, you allow them to decide stuff, but you also give them a more
structured, I think is the word you're looking for.
Structure, and especially you give them a lot of reward when they do the right thing. And then you tell them, okay, anything you can choose, there is consequence. And if you choose the right thing, because I'm using them like you. We do sports, we need to be really honest. We use horses to make money, to make success, to be in front of people at clapping. And I mean, this is something that we need to really be serious and say. I mean, we try to do as good as possible, and not to be bad, but we are using horses. And then for them to have very clear what is the consequence when they are good, and the consequence when they active in a different way. I don't say they are bad, they just, and then they start to say, okay, you care about me, you feel what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and you give me the time to decide, and then you reward when I decide what you are looking for, and that's build a relation. Because I think that in the end they like to they make us happy, they make us feel like they did the right thing for us. Sorry for my English, it's really complicated and it's a little bit late, but I hope that I was clear enough.
Yeah, I at least understood
you can translate. Yeah, way better to speak.
Basically what you're saying is love and structure, and
Absolutely.
Structure is love, right? Like a parent almost, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Rebecca, do you have any advice you'd like to give our audience about what they can do with the horses in their lives? And those horses can be school horses, they can be big horses. What to think do to find those moments, or to get close to those moments where you feel, oh, she or he is really with me at this point.
Did you mean this, Rebecca?
Any Rebecca? We have to.
And the other Rebecca can have a go. So one of the things I think people, and this goes back to what Luca was saying, people have to understand, to get the best relationship with your horse, you have to be a parent. Horses are most relaxed when they are not relying on themselves to keep themselves alive and out of trouble. And if they know that they can trust you to handle the situation, they become more relaxed, and you obviously become more relaxed and more comfortable with the animal as a result. So, as was said earlier, they have to understand that, yes, you can choose how to behave, but there are consequences. And that, to me, the best relationship you can have with your horse is that of your horse looking at you as a responsible parent, knowing they can trust you 100%. Now, the best way I find to do that is to be very consistent with what you do. And it doesn't matter if you've ridden for years or you've hardly ridden at all. From day one, you say to the horse, I will take care of you and protect you and keep you safe and feed you. But I would ask that you show me a little respect and you don't walk over me and you keep your distance. And these simple things like this, like standing still when you get on, just requires patience. You repeat the maneuver until they do what they want. You don't have to be an Olympian to have a great horse. You can be somebody that maybe only gets to ride once a week. Maybe you've only been riding for 6 months. But if you will pay attention to the little details, you will have a great horse to ride out on the trail. And that's how you get that connection. I think you can be friends with your children, but people who try to be friends instead of being parents generally have children that are very troubled. And horses are really no different. The calmest horses are the ones that trust their riders because they understand where the line in the sand is drawn and it never changes. And they know they can trust their rider to, as I say, protect them from danger, look after them, take the responsibility away from them to a certain degree.
Oh, that's interesting. The responsibility, shouldering the leadership, for lack of a better word, is interesting. So, other Rebecca.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't build too much on it, but I completely agree. It's about having structure. Routine is just so important for managing either one or many horses. And you do have to be. I laugh about the standing still and getting on. I'm currently breaking in one of my own youngsters, a homebred of mine, and I'm at that stage. We're learning to stand still when I get on. And one thing horses will do to you is they will strip you of your ego. There's no place for egos around horses, especially young ones when you're breaking them in and things like that. Emotional reactions will get an emotional reaction from the horse in a negative way as well. Hey, Josephus has joined us. So yeah, just being the person who can contain their emotions when it is a stressful situation, you're not getting the response you want, and asking the question differently to get the response you do want, and obviously rewarding good behavior at the right time and being consistent. So yeah, being a parent, not that I am one, but I'm sure that's what it's like. Right?
Well, maybe good training. Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
Telling them you've got this, right?
I've got more polo to play before that happens. But yeah, that's my input.
Hey, Tessie, if you wanted to say something?
Yeah, well, one of the privileges that I have. Hi, Pedro and Luca. We haven't spoken yet, but I've heard you speak.
Thank you.
I am the founder and CEO of Cavago, and I'm so grateful that you've come on to this Cavago Social. Rebecca, Algar, we spoke a few times, and every time I speak to you or hear you speak, I'm in awe. Katherine, we meet at least once a week. We're in the same city. Rebecca, you're kind of like family, so we speak whenever we speak. But Pedro, I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Really, with you and Oxidado, you guys are legends, and I'm a big fan of Portugal anyway. I've been there a few times. I'd go there in a heartbeat. So I almost fell off my chair when I found out that you were going to be speaking. So it's amazing to have you to join us. And then finally, Luca. Just before this, I was hosting a panel with Karen Rolfe.
I love her.
She is just amazing.
Yeah.
She is, what an inspiration. So one of the best lines I've ever heard is the one that you said when you were talking to her, and you said, we human beings, we speak English or French, etc. Horses speak in passion, and that has stayed with me. That is so powerful. So I'm really grateful. I thought I'd jump in, and I was really just here to listen to you guys, but I have 3 requests. Okay.
Super.
Number 1, please grab hold of your mobile phones. Okay. And we're going to take a selfie. Okay. Just to say that we were here. Now, you have a choice. You can either take that selfie with your normal camera, or on Instagram, we've actually developed a filter. Okay. So if you go onto Instagram and you see the Cavago logo, that means you've been there. It's got this funny little white line. Okay. And when you put it on your face, a horse turns up on your cheek.
I don't.
You can take a normal selfie too.
It's quite difficult for me too.
But I'm speaking with you by computer. And I have my phone in my hand. I just do a picture of myself with my phone.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. You don't need to turn around.
Okay.
But
It's just to say that I was here.
I did it. I don't know how it works now.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was request 1. Thank you very much.
Super.
Okay, the second one, okay, is that after this, whenever you have a chance, we did the Cavago Social because around the world, COVID obviously has affected everyone, but the horse world has really been affected across the board. Earlier today, I was speaking to somebody in Turkey, and he's like, we just need to make sure we can feed our horses. Iguada de la Cartuja has been closed. They're one of our hosts on Cavago. And I know the world is suffering. And so I wanted to use this platform to send a message out to the rest of the world to say, we, horse lovers, the horse world, we're good. And my request is, and I'm going to try and make this viral, I don't know if it'll happen, but I need your help, is to make a selfie video with first yourself to say, this is me, then your horse, and in the background, do something creative to say, we're having a party. 1 video, 3 lines. This is me, this is my horse, we're having a party. And what we'll do is we'll post it on all the Instagram, social media to tell the world that as horse lovers and as horse people around the world, we're good. All right, you can do this when you like, you can post it, tag us, whatever you like, but it's really to say the horse world is coming together. Like that guy in Turkey, I'd love to be able to get him visitors so that they can feed their horses. And And that's like my commitment, my passion for making Cavago. All right. Finally, I discovered that Oxidado has a birthday today. Correct? But there's someone else who's equally special to me.
God.
Who has a birthday too. Her name is Caroline.
It's in March. It's in March.
We're gonna all together sing happy birthday to Caroline in Chicago at the counter.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you go. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Caroline.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Caroline, I think you never imagined that like,
You got your embarrassing moment.
For singing you happy birthday. But there you
Watch out, X Factor.
So with that, guys, I think we're almost done. I was just going to be a fly on the wall, but I thought I'd take the opportunity. And I say this to everyone who comes on this. It's in my email signature as well. May the horse be with you.
And with you.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you again.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much
Lucy.
for being here.